Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today is October TBR time. I know a lot of people post this on the first of the month, but I had other videos that needed to go out then, reviews. So what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today is what I'm going to read this month. So I have another themed month coming up, and that theme is, drumroll, secret reveal that I've already talked about earlier, the Holly Gibney series of books from Stephen King. So that is Mr. Mercedes, Finders Keepers, End of Watch, The Outsider, If It Bleeds, and Holly. So that's currently 6 books, although one of them is just a short story in a short story collection. So If It Bleeds is a short story collection. But I'm only interested in the Holly Gibney story for the time being. I may read more. So does that sound ambitious when last month I only read 2, 3... Did I read 3 books? So last month I read 3 books. And no, 4 if you count the novella, The Ice. So does 5 books and a short story sound ambitious? For me, I would say no, because I can read Stephen King really quickly. So Stephen King and I've not read a huge amount of his books. I've only read The Dark Tower, Carrie, and Fairy Tale. The Fairy Tale just came into my life at the time, came out at the time that I really wanted to read his new book, or wanted to read a Stephen King book. So those are the only Stephen King books that I've read, and I know reading The Dark Tower as your first experience of Stephen King is probably the exact wrong way to do it, but I loved it, so don't complain. So I really wanted to read Holly as well this year when it came out, because I'd read Fairy Tale last year when it came out, but when I found out that Holly was the 6th appearance of Holly Gibney, I thought to myself, now is the time to get some more Stephen King in my life and read the preceding novels. So this is the Bill Hodges trilogy, and then The Outsider, and then If It Bleeds, and Holly, which is Stephen King's latest 2023 release. All of those books I hear are really good. They're all kind of like not. So normally people read Stephen King in October because he's a horror writer and he writes a lot of horror. But the books that I've chosen to read are kind of more crime thrillers than anything else. So they might be disturbing or horrifying, but there's not, as far as I'm aware, there's not so much of the supernatural aspect that you might find in a lot of King's other work. So I have purposefully stayed as blind as possible on all of these books, so I can't give you a description of what is going on in them. I'll save that for the video reviews that I post later in the month. Now, I know what you're thinking. Sam, 6 books, quite ambitious. 5 books, quite ambitious. But I also have other books to talk about. So, first on the list is the book that I'm actually currently reading. So I'm waiting for the King books to come in at my local library. And until they do, I am reading... Wait, that's Still Never Die from the review that I filmed. So I'm reading Voices of War by Zach Argyle. Voice of War by Zach Argyle. You've just watched the Never Die review. If you have just watched the Never Die review, I have not made any progress because I filmed these back to back. I just took off the collared shirt that I was wearing in that video because I was warm. So I'm still reading Voice of War. My intention is to try and finish that up Tuesday, Wednesday this week, because I should be able to pick up, as long as they come in on time, I should be able to pick up the Bill Hodges books on Thursday. So once I've got all of those on Thursday, I can start reading them. So hopefully by Wednesday I'll have finished Voice of War. And after that, I actually have another library book. And this one is one that I've had for a long time. So this is Cursed by Benedict Jacker. This came up in my physical TBR review when I discussed it at the beginning of the channel. So the Cursed is the second book in the Alex Verus series, which is kind of a British Harry Dresden, or British Dresden Files is kind of how it's pitched. And Jim Butcher himself says that he loves the series. So Alex Verus is a shopkeeper who owns a magic shop, and he is also a wizard, but his specific wizard ability is that he can see into the future. So you might think that that would make for a not very interesting protagonist or character or book, but I do actually think that Benedict Jacker makes that does a lot of work with that concept and makes it really interesting. So I would recommend that you seek that series of books out if you like the Dresden Files. I will warn you that Fated, which is the first book, so this is Cursed, Fated was maybe one of the lowest rated books that I have read, that I've rated. I only gave this a 3-star, and I liked it in many ways, but I found it very, very easy to put down. I thought the chapters were way too long. I like a nice short, sharp chapter, which is why me and Stephen King get on so well. I like a nice short, sharp chapter, and that was definitely not the case in Fated. We're looking at, half an hour plus for some chapters. I never felt really, really drawn into the characters and the world. I'm hoping that changes with later books, because people do say that they get better as they go. So let's see. I decided I would give Alex Verus a second chance. So I did get the second book from the library, and this is now I've just renewed it for the 10th time, which is the last time I'm allowed to on my library system. So you can only renew for 3 weeks at a time, 10 times. So unfortunately, what that means is I have to read it in the next 2 weeks. So I will possibly be breaking up my Bill Hodges trilogy reading with trying out Cursed. The thought that I had was I would read a few chapters, try and give it an entire evening of chapters, and if I don't really like it, or like it more than the Stephen King stuff, or if I don't feel like the urge to pulling me in to carry on, I'll return it to the library, shelve it, and come back to it next year with a plan to read more Alex Verus stuff. So other than that, if I get through all the Bill Hodges, Holly Gibney books, if I get through Voice of War, if I get through Cursed, I am going to go back to one of the books that I read in Self-Pub September and read the sequel. So I don't know yet whether I'm going to go back to the Adan trilogy. I don't know whether I'll fancy going back to the sequel to Wistful Ascending, which is, I think, The Griffin Returns. I feel bad, I don't know the name. I will look it up while we carry on talking. So the Wistful Ascending series is called the Hybrid Helix, and that's also a type of mattress, so that's fun. So the Hybrid Helix series, the second book is called Return of the Griffin. So I might read that one next. I did give that one my book of the month because it was such a nice surprise. Although it's been a while since, if I read all of those thrillers and an urban fantasy book, maybe I'll be kind of craving some epic fantasy, and I'll go back to Way of Adan. There are also 2 more books in the Mortal Techniques series by Rob J. Hayes, which are standalone, so I could read them in whatever order I fancy. I have some other stuff. I've got a non-fiction book. I've got a load of other stuff that I've talked about in previous videos. So I'm kind of a mood reader. I like to read what kind of catches my fancy. What I tend to do with the TBRs for this channel is make myself a kind of priority TBR, which this month is going to be Holly Gibney books and Cursed and finishing Voice of War. But I like to add on the end some possibilities, which you saw a lot of in Self-Pub September. So I only managed to read 4 books last month, and that was simply because I was completely addicted to playing Starfield, and so that took up a lot of my time. But this month, I'm going to have a proper focus on reading again, and so I'm expecting to read a few more books if possible. I think it'd be lovely to get through all of the Holly Gibney books and Cursed in kind of the beginning of the month, and then maybe have the last few days to start something new. I do also have November plans, so I don't want to... I think I've already talked about them before, which is that I'm hoping in November to read Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series of... they are young adult science fiction novels. So I may end up starting that early to get those done in time to read the final book on the day it comes out. Not in a single day, it will be longer than The Ice, so I won't be able to do that. But I'm sure I'll be able to read it quickly because Brandon Sanderson, like Stephen King, is very readable and I can read it very quickly. So, ambitious? Yes. Over-ambitious? Probably. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on my TBR. How far do you think I'll get? And have you read any of Stephen King's Holly Gibney series of books? Would you like me to do videos on the adaptations? Because there are adaptations of Mr. Mercedes and of The Outsider. So if you'd be interested in a book versus show review from somebody who has read the book and then straight back to back watch the show, then please let me know and I'll record those for you. So thanks very much for watching. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel to see all my future content, especially the upcoming Stephen King month, and drop a comment down below, like I said, if you read any of the books, if you have anything you think that I should read, that I should add to future TBRs, or if you've got a preference on which sequel I should go back to from Self-Pub September. If I've got the time, then I will try and prioritise anything that I see in the comments that people want me to read. So, thanks again for watching, and I will speak to you in the next one.